I believe we can start, dear Evangelos.
Hello there, just checking if you have all the possibility to record the session. I see Evangelos start recording this session.
I started recording.
Good, so I guess I'm gonna go back to the main room and tell people to join you.
Thank you, Luis.
See you.
See you.
Okay, I start, Margarita.
Yes, I don't know. I see that we have Tianyi. Hello. I see we have I'm sorry, I'm pronouncing very badly. Jiangxia. Am I pronouncing?
Yes.
It's difficult for us. Sorry for pronouncing badly. Do we have Dr. Dalia Gavriely?
Matan is here.
Ah, it's you? Okay. Okay.
No, yeah, it's me and Dalia together.
And I was wondering, okay, you are here. Great. Great, Matan, Flum. Hello. And do we have Dr. Sana Hollander, who is with Dr. Crystal de Landsteer? I believe no. So, Evangelos, you can start pronouncing the second presenter.
So, Matan.
The second presentation, yes.
So I'll share my screen.
So housing in the service of nation building. And yes. You can pronounce the co-author, dear Matan Flum, yourself, as we pronounce badly.
No, it's okay.
Flum or Flum?
Flum.
Flum, okay.
Yeah, but it comes from Flum. So I'm very honored to be here. Hello, everyone. Kalimera Sas.
Kalimera.
Israel and Greece has a long and good relationship. So I'm very glad to be here. It's actually my first international conference to present in, so I'm very excited. I will be in next September a PhD student in UCL, in the Bartlett faculty, development planning unit. And Dalia, Professor Dalia Gavriely-Nuri is my partner for this research. She is a professor in Jerusalem Hebrew University and in academic Hadassah College. We love to present now this issue of housing in the service of nation building in Israel, of course. This main issue I will focus on the discourse strategies of housing blocks in the service of the nation building. Just a few more words about myself. I'm 27 years old, live here in Israel now, and as I said, I'm a PhD student. So, this research is focusing on open rooms in the Israeli society. Most of the Israelis are living in housing blocks. So this is a very important issue here in Israel. And this is why we wanted to know how, in the starting point of this building of these housing blocks, what happened and how it got shaped in the Israeli public discourse. And of course, we want to know how the discourse in these 50s, in starting of the establishing of the Israeli state, how it affects us today. So this small lecture's outline is historical background, theoretical context, and a bit of case analysis. as you can see in the pictures, you can see these housing blocks in the 50s. So a bit of introduction and my research question. The goals of my research were to achieving a better understanding of the Israeli society and politics by delving to this crucial issue of existence, of the human existence. In this I mean housing and spatial design, and of course analyzing the disappearance of these housing blocks in the public discourse nowadays and how it happened. My second goal was to enrich our theoretical and methodological view and knowledge, and by adding another layer to the cultural approach to discourse, to critical discourse analysis. And this is another case study that imply this approach, this theoretical and methodological approach. My research question was what were the main elements in the Israeli discourse, housing discourse, and how did they establish power relations in the socio-political history of Israel. And for answering this big question, we established a corpus of a lot of cultural representations, such as textbooks, leaders' statements, such as children books, and pictures, as you can see, a lot of pictures, and even few videos in the Spielberg archives. And we try to see what are the main strategic discourses that we can see there. So a bit of the historical background of this whole issue. Mizrahim and Ashkenazim in Hebrew, it's a very common Hebrew word. Mizrahim are actually Jews from the Middle East that immigrate to Israel since 48, since the establishment of Israel. And Ashkenazim are Jews that came from Europe and America to Israel since then. And these are two categories of immigrants and people that were here already when Israel got established. And we will see the conflict between these two Jewish ethnic groups. And about since Israel establishment in 48, the Jewish population here got doubled itself in 10 years, which is a lot. I think the most increased in the world in these times. I believe that my Greek friends here know something about immigration. The history of Greek has a lot of common in this sense.
5 more minutes, Matan.
Okay. And we have like established development towns of Mizrahim here in Israel, dispersed of the Israeli Mizrahim population around the Israeli state. So the cultural approach, I will just point it out. The cultural narrative of us and them is very common narrative. Us the great, the good, and them which are not. Cultural narratives, the recycling of this narrative till this day. Them will be the Mizrahim, the ethnic group of immigrants, and us will be the Ashkenazim, the European group that have been here. And silencing and narrative reduction, just to make this all ethnic conflict silenced. So we ask, what are the iconic housing blocks figures here in Israel? And we see we don't have it. So this is a very silent issue. We don't have an Anna Frank of the housing block in Israel as a cultural icon. And we don't have Joseph Trumpeldor, which is an Israeli battle hero here also. And just in a few words, a case analysis of exclusion and euphemism in Davar Le'Eladim, which is a children book, children newspaper, sorry. So a case analysis, just want to read a bit. It's a poem of Joseph Achai. And of course, a long time will not pass and the children factory will be seen. Today around them we will be wondering, tomorrow will open their eyes, neglected are their clothes and their table is not reached. Tomorrow and they will be like us, with us they will be happy. Their beauty will come and their body will be stronger. By work and game, they will become smarter, learn and work. Then it will be said they are native Israelis by their walk in the meadow and furrow. Who would know they are from Babylon? This is immigrants from Iraq, Jewish immigrants from Iraq that came to Israel. And like us, like them in everything, and the refugee child from yesterday that came from a poor alley, tomorrow they will be like you, like me, learn, work and dance, and young citizen. This is another picture of housing project that shows this beauty, trying to make it much more beautiful. And just to summarize, sorry for the delay a bit, if I am in delay, okay, sorry. Just to summarize a few conclusions, I think this issue has a lot with this current discourse, public discourse around Europe for immigrants in Europe, refugee crisis that we have, especially in Greece. I saw it in my own eyes. This has many connections to the current situation and the current even climate change, and how a society deals, an immigrant society deals with these ruins in their past. And another question for next research will be about the entire Middle Eastern context of these housing blocks, and to what extent, if any, housing discourse contributed to the further evolution of conflict here in the Middle East, as a Middle East, as Israel and of course our Palestinians neighbors. We are fortunately fighting over land, and this has many connections to land and population in Israeli state. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any questions or comments?
No, at the end, as we already explained, Evangelos,
okay.
And we have the chat. If you have any questions, because we might forget afterwards, we use the chat, and at the end of what the authors present, we will discuss. So we have the next presentation that you could announce.
I have, let's see, the first ones did not show up yet, right? Dr. Shana or any of her co-presenters.
Yes, I think we don't have profiling Brexit, what personality and leadership style can do to the international community. So we will
I
go
proceed with
the other presenters. Yes.
Dr. Song Yingfa.
Yes, he's co-presenter because he, as I said at the beginning of the conference and announced, he is regretful not to join us, and he sent a wonderful message to all the participants in the conference, but he's in the hospital actually, and we wish him all the best.
All the best from me also. So is Miss G representing
yes.
him?
Yes.
That's you,
I'll
right?
share my screen now. Thank you.
Thank you. Go forward. Introduce yourself if you would like, and then your
Yes.
presentation.
Why people participate in collaborative governance through the government hotline from the perspective of the theory of planned behavior.
Can you see my screen now?
We already see it. Great.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, dear experts and scholars. Though it's afternoon in China, my name is Jiangxia from China University of Mining and Technology. It's a great honor to speak here on behalf of Professor Song. The topic I'm going to share today is why people participate in collaborative governance through the government hotline from the perspective of the theory of blended behavior. And wait a minute. I'll share it mainly in the following sections. As the most popular and widely used channel for the interaction between the government and the public in the digital era, the government hotline has played an important role in improving public participation and promoting collaborative governance with its advantages such as low cost and low technical threshold. Some scholars pointed out that the government hotline is no longer a one-way inquiry and complaint mechanism, but also endowing the public sector and the society with the ability of co-production through the introduction of the collaborative mode. China's government hotline, which originated in 1983, has gone through the stages of multi-line integration and standardization. Now it has gradually transformed from the original mass call channel into a social data center. While creating great achievements, the government hotline also has many difficulties. Statistics show that in 2018, Shanghai's 1234 citizen service hotline was used only 0.17 times per person per year, much lower than New York's 311 government service hotline, which was used 4.21 times per person during the same period. The low public utilization rates brings the phenomenon of cold hotline, and the public value of the government hotline needs to be further explored. From the perspective of demand side, this study explores the reasons and influencing paths of public participation by using hotlines in order to strengthen the collaborative governance capacity in the digital era. In order to explore the research status, this study takes the relevant literature in the field of public participation through the government hotline as an object. We believe that the existing research has the following limitations. In order to fill the research gap and provide practical basis, this study adopts a theory of blended behavior and conducts an empirical study on the influencing factors of the public's participation by using the government hotline. The theory of blended behavior was derived and developed on the basis of the theory of reasoned action, emphasizing that a certain actual behavior of the public would be influenced by intention, attitude, subjective norms and perceived behavioral control act on behavioral intention. On the basis of the original three variables, namely attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control, we added two variables, namely public trust and participation resources, and we proposed certain related hypotheses. The collaborative behavior as the independent variable is subdivided into three categories: policy, suggestion, service feedback, and co-production, according to the theory of citizen, customer, and partner of John Clayton Thomas. This is our preliminary theoretical model. In this study, we generated the questionnaire after integrating the characteristics of the government hotline. 306 valued questionnaires were sent out and received from February 17 to 25, 2021. The questionnaire data shows the following characteristics. After data cleaning of the samples, a reliability test was carried out first, and the results showed that the questionnaire had good internal consistency, and the validities and the fitting results of the model were also good. Pass coefficient calculation and hypothesis test were carried out for the variable relations in the revised model. According to the results, attitude, subjective norms, and perceived behavioral control have positive impacts on public's intention to use the hotline for collaborative governance. While the intention leads to the actual participation behavior, this set of relationships reflects the master model of the theory of planned behavior and has been proved by many studies. The public's trust in the government hotline is also one of the influencing factors of behavioral intention. In the process of use, the effectiveness of service first determines the degree of satisfaction of the government hotline. If the hotline is convenient to use and can effectively respond to public's demands, the public trust in this participation channel will also be improved. The purpose of setting the hotline departments and the degree of privacy protection is also directly related to the public trust and affect the public's willingness to reuse or recommend. The intention of the public to use the hotline is also significantly affected by the participation resources. First of all, when individuals are skilled in using the government hotline to convey demands to the public sector or have a participation experience, such as calling the government hotline or handling affairs through the government website, it can be considered that the public has certain technical participation resources. Secondly, in addition to the government hotline, common e-participation channels also include WeChat, service, websites, and so on. Due to the advantages of low technical threshold, flexible interaction, and real time, when public is more accustomed to use the hotline to interact with government departments, it is less substitutable as a collaborative governance channel. At the same time, the public will be affected.
Can you try to conclude? Sorry to interrupt a little bit, Zay, because your time is, you have 1 minute left, but try to conclude.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. I'll quickly to show our conclusions. And see, based on the above influencing factors and past results, 4 countermeasures and suggestions are proposed. First of all, the public sector will solve the problem of cold hotline. For example, the community can be used as the promotion unit, and the hotline information can be transparently disclosed on a regular basis. Secondly, in order to improve the public trust of the hotline, while improving the degree of privacy protection, government departments can cooperate with each other through interdepartmental integration and joint operation, so that the public can use one hotline to express their demands and get responses from multiple relevant departments. And the government can support and guide the public to participate in the form of information correction, providing solutions, and so on, so as to realize the benign interaction between the government and the public. In addition, our study has certain limitations. In the future, we'll refine the classification of public collaborative behavior and expand the sample size of investigation and add case studies to broaden the applicability of the model. Okay, that's all of my report. Thank you for your listening. Thank you.
Thank you so much, dear Z. You did a marvelous job. Was this your first international conference?
Yes, it's my first time to attend an international conference.
Excellent job. Congratulations. And what I see now, I hadn't noticed, is that you also collaborate with Tianyi for the paper that she will present now, the geopolitical influence of China's 21st century maritime Silk Road on Mediterranean countries. Is that right, dear Tianyi?
No, in fact, my co-writer is my professor. I think there is an error on the...
Okay, so you just send to me and we will correct it, don't worry.
Okay, thank you.
Great, so we can go on with Tianyi.
Yeah, Tianyi, can you proceed?
Yes, is everyone could see my screen?
Yes.
Good morning, everyone. It's my honor to be here. It's my first time to attend this conference. I'm very pleased to get a chance to could share my paper together. My topic is the geopolitical influence of China's 21st century maritime Silk Road on the Mediterranean countries. In the 21st century, all countries attach importance to the development of sea power as the main resource that is competed by countries around the world. Marine resources are facing an increasing severe situation. How to effectively control and develop marine resources has become the main feature of the world situation. Starting from the inherent requirement of China's marine power strategy and the Belt and Road construction, we should understand the ocean issues from the perspective of geo-environment, geopolitics, and geostrategy, according to the perspective of global power. There are three assumptions based on classic British and American geopolitical theories. The most important one is the Eurasian continent's contrariism. The global ocean is individual and unfindable. Sea power divided the world's continents into several islands. And the Eurasian continent is the largest island on this vast land, rich in resource and full of power nations. Many factors determine that it has great world political significance. If everyone could control Eurasia, it means that someone could control the world. Therefore, it is the center of the power struggle. The course of history shows that China has not formed a long-term and stable maritime strategy for a land-sea complex country. In the 2021, China officially proposed to become a marine power without precedent. This is such creative strategy moment. Building a maritime economy power is the main direction for China to build a marine power. Among them, the important guiding force and the driving force are to promote the vitality of the marine economy. The technical guarantee for building a marine power lies in the improvement of marine technology, the basis for the sustainable development for the marine industry lies in the protection of the marine ecological environment. The fundamental guarantee for maintaining territorial sovereignty and marine rights and interest with a strong backing lies in building a modern ocean-going navy. China is a large land-sea complex country with a vast land area and a maritime jurisdiction. A land-sea complex country means a land with fewer natural obstacles, and at the same time, a country that is on the verge of open ocean space. As a cornerstone of the national maritime strategy, Navy power has been excessively extended in terms of its feature. It is still unshakable, no matter how the ocean system that will has great deficiencies and prospect space in the world today. Even if the ocean system can develop to a relatively level in the future, it is still impossible to deny the occurrence of the worst, the historical process and the reality. The lesson of maritime power constantly warns us that we must not pin all our hopes on the beautiful institution arrangement under an anarchic international society. In the process of building a marine power, China needs a strong marine military force as a strong backing. This response to the worst case scenario will prevent maritime rights and interests from falling into a passive situation at a critical moment. From an objective point of view, maritime strategy interest will play an increasingly important role in the overall development of a country. The modernization of Navy service is a mission that all coastal countries must accomplish either by their own national strength or rely on foreign aid. In Church's words, the Mediterranean is Europe's soft underbelly. Without the security of the Mediterranean, there is no way to talk about security in Europe. European countries have now reached a consensus that the economic prosperity of Mediterranean ports has become an important factor influencing the political and economic stability of European countries. Maintaining economic stability and development in the Mediterranean region has become the common interest of European countries. The Maritime Silk Road is a concentration of commercial and industrial opportunity, just like the Land One Belt. It connects China and Europe, but the way through Southeast Asia and Middle East and East Africa. Excluding China, 42% of the world's population and GDP account for of the world's population. Even without considering the success of the Belt and Road Initiative, multinational companies from various countries can still find huge opportunity here in the coming decades. From the past to the present, maritime economy and trade have been an important part of China's economic power. It has provided energy and petroleum resource for China's economic growth, which is a key resource required for our country's economic growth. It is precisely because of the oil resource and the maritime market that China needs to use the Maritime Silk Road to closely connected with the Mediterranean country. Mediterranean port between Spain, Greece, and Italy, as well as port in Arabic countries, account for 1/3 of the world maritime trade. For China, if it wants to export goods to the United States and Europe, The volume of goods direct crossing the Mediterranean is higher than through the Strait of Gibraltar. The volume of goods transport via the Cape of Good Hope via Southern Africa. Therefore, for China development of maritime trade, Mediterranean ports are an important strategy base, and the tie between China and Europe can be stretched through the Mediterranean. Italy, Greece, and Spain are all important links in this chain. Therefore, all ports in the Mediterranean, even the port of Naples, Italy have investment from China companies, which is in line with the economy logic. Moreover, for Chinese maritime economic activities, the occupation of Mediterranean port in Europe is very important in geopolitical significance. Become a strategy outpost, China and Italy signed a memorandum of understanding to promote the construction of Belt and Road. Italy becomes the first G7 country to formally participate in the Belt and Road Initiative, and the fourth European country to participate in the construction of Belt and Road Initiative. The geographical location of Italy in the center of Mediterranean Sea has always been reflected in the policy of close relation with all coastal countries from Spain to Greece, from Turkey to Egypt. As a member of European, yes.
I think you have to finish.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In short, the Belt and Road is a new initiative that can help China to better develop the Mediterranean region and strengthen its relation with related countries. China also help resolve conflict in the Euro-Asia region.
It has 5 more minutes, Evangelos. It's okay.
Okay, 5 minutes?
Yes.
Okay, European policy has always been one of the center of Italian foreign policy, but Europe pay attention to the benefits that can actually obtained. The goal of this role are consistent with the goal pursued by the Greek national development. The port of Rivi is the largest port in Greece and one of the largest container port in the Mediterranean, as an important entry port for Chinese goods to enter Southeast Europe. For decades, the Mediterranean has been a friendly region to the West. The rise of China as a major economy has affected the interests of the United States and the European Union in the Mediterranean. China's economic growth in the 21st century is impressive, and the world is developing toward multipolarity. These 2 points has affected China's position in international politics. China's leaders try to show that China do not propose a threat, but seek to be a constructive and a real member of the international community. Marine geopolitics are still facing severe games. To achieve the security of marine affairs, win-win cooperation is a clear-cut choice. Western power accustomed to manipulating the international rules of the ocean, but relying on geopolitical adventure of ocean geography. Throughout the world's maritime security landscape, the United States and Russia, the 2 major powers, have unique maritime geopolitical advantage, and their maritime and military strengths far exceeds other countries. They are familiar with maritime security issues and have the determination and ability to engage in strategy games in the field of global maritime security. In contrast, the maritime geography of other inferior maritime countries in the same area, although the nation or military power is roughly the same, but the cultural system and national characteristics are quite different, which intends the risk of geopolitical appear one river that does not have two dragons phenomenon adhere to the principle of extensive consultation. China advocates the One Belt, One Road through communication policy with countries along the route, connecting facilities, unblocking trade, facilitating funds, connecting people's hearts, and jointly improve the lives of people in China and the rest of the world. China strongly advocates and firmly upholds the United Nations and recognizes international norms to maintain maritime security order. The experience and lessons of European landscape complex countries tell us that China's road to become a powerful country lies in getting rid of the dilemma of strategy choice and dual vulnerabilities and development towards the sea and the premise of strategic concentration. Therefore, the future development direction of China should be maintained on the sea. Its main contents includes use of maritime transportation convenience, development of maritime fishery and mineral resources, improvement of navy equipment and combat capability of protect maritime right and interest, and safeguard national sovereignty and territorial integrity, strengthen mutual beneficial cooperative relations with neighboring mainland countries such as Mongolia, Russia, and Central Asia countries, severe as a link between them and overseas countries, and play our role as a sea and land link. More important than the correct strategy choice is that we must continue to consolidate the current hard-won geographic environment. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now it's time for questions. I wanted to make a point, well, one to Matan and one to you, Tianyi. The map that you showed with the Silk Road and the BRI, there are a number of problems on it, errors, I can call them. Pakistan has been removed. It doesn't appear on the map. Iran reaches all the way to India. And then in Indonesia, Jakarta is shown on the island of Sumatra rather than Java. Okay, just take a look at that, afterwards and make the necessary corrections, especially since you cite the source of the map as another author. I'm sure that he has not made these errors. The second comment I would like to make to Matan is that on such an important issue, as far as I caught it, you never mentioned once the word Palestinian. And you yourself said that contemporary issues and conflicts are very much the context of what you talked about. That's, for me, anyone else?
Yes, Steen is waving.
Oh, I see. Okay, I didn't.
Steen, you can speak. Your
Steen,
microphone.
Your microphone, unblock it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, I got it. I agree completely. The map is a catastrophe all the way through. But I agree with you also that Flum was it was very odd presentation to me. Mostly, he didn't mention the Sephardic Jews, for example, and I mean that's as much as the Ashkenazi Jews, and also the whole problem with the Palestinian conflict and Israel. As well, I didn't understand it.
You're speaking about which presentation, dear Steen?
Matan Flum.
So he could reply.
What?
Yes, for him to reply. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steen.
I was about to chat it.
Matan?
Okay. So if there are no more questions about the Palestinian issue, well, I did it in purpose.
We understood.
Yeah, I did it in purpose, but I don't know if from the reasons you think about. I did it in purpose because the Mizrahi Ashkenazi conflict, ethnic conflict within the Jewish population here in Israel is not recognized in the world. And this ethnic conflict here, silenced ethnic conflict here, is one of the main processes or topics that reproduce and contribute to the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. Well, within the domestic Jewish ethnic conflict, because of the Mizrahi Jews are Middle Eastern Jews and are seen as Arabs, as Arabs culturally, and Arabs with their tongue, with their language, because most of them came here to Israel while they're speaking Arabic, as the Palestinian enemy, okay? In quotes.
Yes.
So they have been seen by the European Jews as enemies as well. But at the same time, they are Jewish people, so we need to embrace them and to see how they can be like us, like the white European population here that came to colonize Israel and settle in Israel, Palestine, okay? And I just wanted to say to Steen that Sephardi Jews are Mizrahi Jews. It's the same. Okay, I didn't use the word Sephardi because here in Israel, it's a bit old concept, but you are right that Mizrahi and Sephardi is the same. Mizrahi in Hebrew is Eastern, and Sephardi is from Spain. So from Spain is a bit.
Or Portugal.
Huh?
Yeah, the Iberia.
Yeah, from Iberia. So it's
Iberia.
a bit weird to say in Hebrew Sephardi, but it's the same. It's a bit old way of speaking. Now we are saying Mizrahi, but it's the same. And one more thing, if I may, about the Palestinian issue. I do believe it's the main, of course, issue here of lands and distribution of lands and conflicts about lands. But in my eyes, we could make solutions to this horrible conflict here for 100 years if we could understand much better the inter-discrimination within the Jewish population here. And if we could say, make a new distribution of lands here, not first in the Jewish population, but in general in the Jewish population and for the Palestinian population and Arab and Palestinian population in Israel, not in the Palestinian territories. It's another issue also. And it combines itself. I do in this lecture just focused in the inter-discrimination within the Jewish population, within the Jewish people, but in purpose just to make it more short, to make it more focused, and to point out this critical situation in my perspective of 73 years of discrimination and oppression that comes from the same racist origins that unfortunately, how do you say, hurt the Palestinian population also. It came from the same racist white perspective, or Western white, unfortunately, perspective from the 50s and even before till now. No, for Steen, I just want to see the question, sorry. Sephardic are Mizrahi, from the Eastern Jews from the Middle East, and Ashkenazi are Jewish from Jewish people from Europe and the USA and Canada. It was a very polygonal, especially. Okay, thank you.
I'm sorry, you're wrong.
Okay.
Just flat.
It is okay. We accept all the different point of views, and we're here not to criticize, but to listen, to be open, and to share positivity.
It was fact checking.
I just wanted to say that in my experience, because this is an issue that I am very deeply involved with, and this involvement goes back to the 60s. And one of my closest, very dear friends, when I lived in Quebec, in Canada, was a former Jewish American classmate from the Johns Hopkins, who surprised me in Quebec because he changed his name back to a Hebrew name, went back to Israel, and he was so deeply hurt and disappointed that ultimately he lost his mind. And what I want to say is that there are many Jewish people who are in fact extremely actively involved in the Palestinian problem. JVP, Jewish Voice for Peace, is one of them. And my question to Matan is, because I had never thought of associating, you know, the membership of these groups with one of the two main sections of the, you know, of the Jewish people. But would they come from one rather than the other group, the supporters of the Palestinians?
So it's a tricky question, because most of this is by polls. I don't have the exact, you know, number, but by polls here and by general, I'm saying the left is stigmatized for being more white and European, and the right is stigmatized for being more Middle Eastern and you know, a bit more against the Palestinian issue and Palestinian cause. But we should say, in fact, that it's much more complicated, because if the left is white and is occasionally opposes this new distribution of lands, so I don't believe that it's truly a left. because it opposes equality here.
Yeah.
And of course, in the 80s, we should mention Prime Minister Menachem Begin that made peace agreement with Egypt, the first prime minister that went to this process, and is from the right. He was the right person by his whole heart. So I think it's more complicated than say it, but in general, we used to say this extend groups that are here or there. But I should say again and again, it's truly stigmatized and not very consistent, and not very like as we want to do it in a certain frameworks.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for all the
Can
questions.
I proceed to Tianyi's presentation if there are any other questions or comments?
So just to about the map, because this was important.
Yeah.
Just to take into consideration this, as you, Steen and Evangelos mentioned it, and this is important as well because we are also here to navigate a little PhD student, graduate students that are doing a great job and are here to learn. So they learn from you, Evangelos, Steen, all the, and we make correction, we make adaptations. We are here, what we said at the beginning of the conference is even academics, professors, no matter what their diplomas are, we always learn. And this is why as well we are here. We stay humble and we exchange and we are open to many things. But the corrections of the map are important. Okay. I will ask also Tianyi, send me the corrections of Professor Giuseppe, that is the co-author, because a mistake was made by us. I don't know if there are any other questions about the three papers presented today by the participants. Evangelos?
Yeah, I wanted to add something to the map issue because that whole region is an area that I have worked for decades, probably long before you were born. And I'm not saying this, in an aggressive way, but in a sympathetic way. For instance, specifically, there is a very important land link to the sea, and it's reflected in the Chinese involvement in the Gwadar port, one of the key points of the Belt and Road Initiative. Now, Gwadar is in Baluchistan, which in itself is within Pakistan. So it's not even on the map, and I think that you should put it there because it's extremely important and one of the key points is. And just as a general comment for the audience, and in particular the Greek audience also, this whole area is an area where we Greeks have been involved from before, before Christ, from antiquity, from the times of Alexandria. I'm sure that you are all familiar with the periplus of the Erythraean Sea, which reaches all the way to Malaysia. And I always tease my Malaysian friends by referring to them as the Golden Chersonese, η Χρυσή Χερσόνησος στα ελληνικά, because already the Greeks were trading with points on the Malayan peninsula and even the long-time precursors of Singapore. But as far as I know, they hadn't made contact with Indonesia at the time. But to me, this whole area and the BRI initiative is fascinating, extremely interesting, and something that we're going to see a lot more, I'm sure, in the future. And where I hope this East-West conflict, which, as I mentioned the day before yesterday, I traced back to the Trojan War, right, as the first documented instance of East-West conflict. Okay, so I do hope that an agreement, understanding, cooperation is reached between the great powers for the benefit of everybody, including themselves and the small people like us. Our 10 million against, 1.5 billion and another 1.5 billion in India. So I do hope that we reach peaceful understanding and cooperation in all these cases of conflict. Some of it post-imperial. Thank you.
May I add?
Yes,
Am I on?
Tim,
Yes,
yes.
Tim.
Well, yes, it is a very hot political question, the new Silk Road. And it was mentioned yesterday too, about the Chinese being very, very keen on building infrastructure in Africa and also in Asia, of course. And I am actually on my chat a suggestion that you also take the old land Silk Road from Beijing to Constantinople, put that in as well, because they use the name for that purpose. And I think that makes sense, but it's just a completely new concept.